You command the search for the Xeno ruins located at the coordinates in the Vox scribe found near the sarcophagus. Yet the augurs fail to penetrate the tangle of colossal roots. If the coordinates are indeed correct, it can only be confirmed by sending scouts. And the scouts report a lengthy search for a safe passage to the given coordinates. The predatory xenoflora greets these uninvited guests with poison and thorns. The Vox scribe spoke true. Deep beneath, nestled at the base of the roots, lie bizarre xenostructures. Alas, gaining entry has proven impossible. The entrance to the Xeno ruins is tangled in roots so dense that even a melta charge has failed to breach them. You command the governor of Zarkov to clear the thickets blocking the path to the site where your legendary ancestor perished. All you can do now is wait. So, wait for the high fact totem to deliver the news. And I did start a project. We've got planetary sutures going. I don't know if I should have, but it kind of looked like the right thing to do at the time. So I guess we're just waiting, right? That's odd to think about. So what do we need to do? I guess we should try to just go do other things. I'm very bad at this. Secrets of the cult? No. Right. So we're here. That's what we're waiting for. We've got world shapers. Right. There's the whole Yanis thing that we like ran away from. Don't ask. This. Okay. This, I don't know. Right. That's kind of just happening. Okay. We have this to do. Reclaim what was lost. And that's to go to Kyavagama, where that's after this. And then Footfall is experiencing a severe shortage of provisions. Right, and that I can't do. So I guess we're technically just gonna... Secrets of the Cult. Right, that's just on Kyavagama. And this I am... Forgotten Twins. Yeah, I gotta go find it. That's fun. Right. So that's what we have to do as well. And then a new ruler. Enter every vassal world. Okay. Right, that's that. So let's, I guess, head back to this place. I think that will probably be the best way to go. Now, we haven't even been to these worlds. I just want to travel to do that. It's so interesting that they don't have routes to each other. So am I only get... for some reason, I thought you got more than 1 point. So that... It's not worth it then, if I'm only going to get 1 for it. Now, what is this? Colonize Vabo 6. Why is that deadly? Wait, what? Hello? No. That shouldn't be that way. Oh, I don't want to travel there. This shouldn't... It's green. It's juicy. Does it have 2? You see that too, right? Like it's giving me... Interesting. So, question. If I go here... Make that... Yeah, that's weird that it's giving me 2. I don't remember that from last time. The sector bion. Okay, so there's something down there. But I know that there's been a patch since the last time I played. So I don't know if this patch did something and caused that. If I have to spend the 2, I'll spend the 2, but I'm kind of hoping we come back. This will maybe have... Or, you know, we can maybe connect or something. Lord Captain, the Master at Arms has reported disturbances in the vicinity of Sector Bionica. You hear the tactfully disguised disquiet in the Vox Master's voice. The rabble from the lower decks have blocked the exits, demanding you appear before them. The enforcers await your orders. The Ring of Steel in Yokas de Sauerback's tone eloquently signals her readiness for battle. Give the order and all those troublemakers will be immediately subdued. What do they want, Vigdis? According to the reports received, the work of the Medicae officers in the Sector Bionica has caused this commotion among the workers. It appears the rabble are seeking to access the sacred augmentations. Oh. The rabble have forgotten their Lord Captain's visage. I shall refresh their memory. As you will, Lord Captain. Yes, they have forgotten how beautiful their Lord Captain is, and Tess is going to rectify this situation with cleansing holy fire. What do you mean they wanna do this? Is this because we helped? The noisy procession, smelling of sacred unguents and sweat, falls silent as soon as you appear. Those at the head of the crowd step forward, one of them waving the wrapped stump of his right arm while another gawps at you with his one eye. The Medicaid officers, shielded by a line of enforcers, also stare in your direction. Lord Captain, you came! The one-eyed man hesitates and bows awkwardly. We have a request, a petition, to authorize the augmentation of workers below the rank of junior officer in the sector Bionica due to the need to increase the efficiency of the workforce. He blurts out obviously memorized words in rapid stream and then adds peevishly, the vermin don't want to give us arms and legs, but we want to work for the good of you and the God Emperor. Alright, give me your argument. Why should I grant the rabble access? The one-armed worker steps forward, pushing the one-eyed man aside. One of the lads, a Voidsman soldier who got his skull crushed, came back to the lower deck after treatment not long ago. With his new metal head, he's working harder than ever. If they'd let us poor sods put some hardware in, we'd work even better than the healthy ones. We'd toil day and night for the good of the dynasty. The officers say it's not allowed, but you can do anything, even lift this band. Be merciful, Lord Captain. The request is unacceptable. I predicted that augmenting the Voidsman soldier's life above the established baseline would cause the utility life forms to develop a distorted perception of their individual value that is irrationally inflated. The hiss of the janitor's vox can be barely heard over the murmuring of the crowd. And what did my experts think? Of course, such privileges for the lower decks are unprecedented. Yet these people are the lifeblood of the ship, Lord Captain. However low their standing in the social hierarchy, allowing augmentation in the lower deck will enable workers to toil longer and will help older crew members remain of sound mind and pass on their experience to younger generations. I advise you to grant the request. It'll only strengthen your crew. I insist upon rejection of the request. Augmentation is a sacred gift of the Omnissiah that requires careful monitoring and maintenance. The sector Bionica's resources are finite, and as such, our focus must be on servicing the key life forms among the crew. Violating the established directive and wastefully distributing the gift of augmentations among the unworthy would be outrage to the Omnissiah and barely tolerated by the tech priests aboard this vessel. I have come to a decision. The workers will continue to make do with the primitive prosthetics. The Omnissiah's gifts are intended for officers. It would be unfair if I allowed augmetics for one and denied the rest. I see you have lost your fear. No, that line. That's not noble. That's not this noble Tess, because she a gal of the people. I don't like any of these options. Like, I actually do not like any of these options. It'd be unfair if I allowed augmetics for one and denied the rest. I feel like she's not gonna give in to this. Like, that's just a lot. Like, resources are finite. Like, I think Janitor's correct on this. They require careful monitoring and maintenance. The resources are finite. If we start spreading ourselves too thin, what happens when somebody from, that's an officer, somebody that's a key person, what if it's somebody from Tess's crew alone need this and they can't? What happens if Tess needs something and they can't because of the rabble? This is pushing it. No. You will continue to make do with the primitive prospect. No. I see. I kind of want to do this. You see, you've lost your fear. Get out of my sight. But that hasn't been her. I love this line, but that hasn't been her. The Omnissiah's gifts are intended for officers only. I don't know. I wish you all were here to make this decision for me. I feel like most people are not gonna let everybody get the prosthetics, so on that hand, like, allowing them to would be really interesting. But this is an iconoclast test. If this was Tess from the last playthrough, absolutely this would be a no-brainer. But this Tess she floats around morality wise. Like, I don't actually think she's any one particular morality. She leans more iconoclast because she likes being liked, but If you go off of that logic, she'd allow it. But then also, she's noble. She's snobby. Primitive prosthetics for you. Your words caused the crowd to fall silent. The two crippled men who came forward looked blankly at each other before beginning to back away warily. May the Omnissiah bless the rogue trader's sound judgment. The janitor focuses his multiple visors on you and bows his head. Not one of his mechanical eyes dignifies the vivisector with even a glance. Look, was that easy? No. Was that the right decision? I think so. Okay, somebody has told me I forgot about bubble bath time with friends. But I was told that Uncle needs to be invited because it's hilarious. So let's get Uncle there. I'm kind of surprised that none of my companions had anything to say about it. Let's see. Sometimes I just expect Marazai to pop up and go boo, even though he's not even on my ship. Okay, let's do... I thought that this was like the coolest thing. The only thing I wish that had been added in was if you're in a romance with somebody, it like the scene's a little different, you know? All right, Tess with her 100 med packs is taking a bubble bath. Terrifying baby is watching. Good. Good. Refreshments. Excellent. We're meditating. Let her meditate. She's so busy as a rogue trader. I wish to see someone from my retinue. Oh, I haven't invited Solomon yet. All right, again, I am in a philosophical mood. I find the choice of venue for our meeting somewhat unconventional, but I do not deny that the setting is conducive to philosophical contemplation. So tell me, Tessera, what topic is currently occupying your inquiring mind? Enforcer, fetch the Amasec and the victuals for me and the esteemed janitor. I have observed the precepts of augmetic maintenance, nourishing my flesh with sacred, parenteral formulations. Nevertheless, my body is quite capable of accepting mundane provisions. To the glory of the Omnissiah, let this experiment commence. To your good health. The manipulus mirrors your action, draining his goblet. I'm registering increased catalytic processes in my liver and acute reaction in my peripheral vasculature. Inhibition process in my nerve system are suppressed. The tech priest raises an eyebrow in confusion. Could this be some sort of pre-medication for enhanced nutrition absorption? He's drunk. I don't see what's got you so amused, Nuncius. Because you're drunk, Uncle! Nuncius offers a broad yellow-toothed grin typical of servo skulls. Nuncius, drink your fill. The MSX spills into the bathtub, even if Nuncius wished to partake. The lack of lower jaw, digestive tract, or any other organs prevents him from doing so. So you say you subsist on formulations? I doubt you will like these. Or you will like it. These alchemical concoctions are designed to be injected directly into the bloodstream and are laced with bionic tonic supplements that are not intended for laypersons to consume. They may be harmful to the unprepared body. Okay, you're right. Sounds like a rare brew. A wise choice. I bet they don't serve this on Forge Worlds. The composition of the nutrient substrate is unbalanced. Large amounts of lipid compounds and complex amine chains. Nevertheless, the organoleptic values are excellent, although this method of nourishment is highly irrational. Again, dubiously places a piece of roasted fowl in his mouth. Most acceptable. What do you think of the fare? I'm afraid my taste buds have atrophied considerably, so I cannot gratify you with anything other than my already stated findings. However, I do wish to note that tasting nutrients in combination is a most satisfying process regardless of their form. He smiles pointedly. I suggest we proceed to the more substantive portion of our conversation, not least because my colleague is beginning to grow somewhat bored. The servo skull maintains his impassive silence. I wish to communicate, and I will not require an interpreter. Let's see how well I understand your colleague. Of course, Rogue Trader. I'm sure my dearest colleague will be honored by your attention. Nuncius, what's your opinion on the hardship of the common folk in the Imperium? You hear the hum of the servo skull's servo motor. His views on life in the Imperium remain a mystery. Not tell me. Quite right. The elite deserve greater privileges. Shake your head. You're right. We are part of the problem. I ought to put my... Well, you're right. The elite deserve greater privileges. I dare say that you must have misinterpreted the context of Nuncius's statement. The manipulus opens and closes his mechadendrites distractedly. At any rate, my colleague certainly did not understand anything of the sort. Nuncius, what is true love? The servo skull is silent. Perhaps true love cannot be described in words. Of course, a true believer only has room in his heart for the God Emperor. I see you two have loved and lost, such is life. You attribute excessive sentimentality to Nuncius. I again relent slightly. However, loss is an unchangeable part of the human experience. Nuncius and I are no strangers to it. Tell me a secret about Aegon. He silently keeps his colleagues' secrets. You don't say. He only levitates because he's too lazy to... you mean he makes up quotes off the top of his head? What now? He's harboring xenotech reserves in his belly, and truly it is none of my business. My dearest colleague would never disclose private information about me. Moreover, I have no secrets from you except for those pertaining to the mysteries of the machine cult. I believe this is all I wish to discuss. Finding the dialogue with you quite inspiring. I find dialoguing with you quite inspiring. Aegon clicks his metal fingers, shooting out a spray of sparks. Leisure time spent in the company of the rogue trader has had beneficial effect not only to me but my colleague as well. Oh no! So we got Uncle drunk, and then we got to eat dinner with him and then ask Nuncius life-altering questions. I think today was a 10 out of 10 day. 10 out of 10. Would do again. So before we continue on any further, I do want to let you know that apparently you can keep Isdrig alive from the cage. Big burly guy that I liked a lot. There's like a series of things that you have to hit in that fight sequence where you become like the head of the penal colony. I just actually went back. I tried it 2 or 3 times. The persuasion checks are a little beefy for Tess. I think both of them are at like 25 and 30%. So she failed and we're already so far. And like, I was willing to go back, but like it was a lot. So just know, if you want to keep him alive, you can. I'd look up the exact dialogue stuff that people have said they've had success with. I do know the last persuasion check that I could pass is supposed to be the one that like seals the deal that he lives, but it didn't work for me. I tried numerous times. And he still decided to die. And so that is just the God Emperor telling me that Isdrig was not meant to live to see the end of this playthrough. So we're gonna take that for what it is, but just know if you haven't done this DLC yet, there's still that opportunity, that moment for you. And I you know, if you keep him alive, let me know how it goes, because I would have liked to have kept him alive. But that is not in Tess's future. He's already dead, and that's fine. Now, where are we going? What? Were we going to the World Shapers? Yeah, but I feel like there's like another thing that should pop up while we're here, right? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. All right, we ran into this issue, so now I'm kind of curious what happens here. Yeah, God Emperor protect. We're good. Yeah, so I don't get why. Huh. I'm gonna have to blow 2 points on this, aren't I? Because for some reason it's not seeing this green, it's only seeing this yellow. And that's weird to me. But oh. Yeah, the esteemed janitor Ferenz requests a Vox audience. It concerns Manipulus Febris and the experiment he's conducting. The janitor speaks rapidly, his words almost merging into an indistinct buzz. Lord Captain, operations in the Sector Bionica have practically stalled. Janitor Extremis Aegon Febris is unilaterally experimenting with the implantation throne, drawing the motive force from the compartment circuitry, thereby hindering proper administration of the augmentation rite. Any idea what he's doing exactly? Analysis. He pauses briefly. Insufficient data. High influx of the motive force to the Sector Bionica's implantation throne has been detected. Violations of the Catechism of Maintenance and Operation have been recorded, along with restricted access for other tech priests. However, the rank of life form designated Eogan Febris is too high to be impeded without intervention from the life form designated Lord Captain. Attesting, according to the logs of the Sector Bionica system, Genitor Eogan Febris is undertaking unauthorized use of the implantation throne contrary to its designed purpose. Recommended sanctions: imposition of a techno penance, combined with temporary rank reduction. He's playing with the dead. Your ladyship, he keeps trying to catch it, but it runs away from him and flies over his shoulder. It will never leave him completely. I thought I was cracked in the head, but no, that tin can must have bigger problems than me if he can't decide whether to live or die. All right, I grant you permission. No, I'll head there immediately. You're welcome. Adira, he is cracked. There's no helping this man. My favorite part of this game, though, is how everyone just, like, comes in and comments on, like, random, like, stuff. God, why is there so much blood? The implantation throne stands before you in all its glory, illuminated with discharges of the motive force. A massive body is laid out upon it, and it takes you a moment to recognize it as Eogan. Nuncius, I am in complete agreement that any interference with the function of the galvanic abdomen will lead to acute hypertension, but I have situation perfectly under control. A fatal outcome has been excluded as a possibility. Eogan stares intently at the vid screen attached to his neck. All his body cavities have been carefully opened. You watch the crimson pink lump of his augmented heart as it beats in his chest, and you see the faint flickering of his galvanic cells through the whitish film of his peritoneum. Yes, Nuncius, I am sure. Now, appropriate the motive force with the offering of the second galvanic hymn, conducting the rite of voltage multiplication, 10% steady, 20%. Eogan's eyelids close and his head drops limply onto his chest. The moment passes and the janitor draws a shuddering breath and startles back to consciousness. 20%. Hypertension, momentary loss of consciousness. The motive force is surging uncontrollably. Additional protocaval shunts are required to propagate it and compensate for the excess pressure. Well then, you were right, Nuncius. Abdominal extraction is impossible. This is an incontrovertible fact. Is this some kind of special tech pre-self-torture? Not at all, Rogue Trader. I'm careful to ensure that my pain level never exceeds borderline values. My objective is not to harm myself, but to learn. I've never seen someone operate on themselves. He smiles through the pain. I must assume that you have never met a janitor of my caliber, Rogue Trader. The procedure is utterly trivial if one observes the rituals of vivisection and the operational covenants of the Omnissiah. I did not grant you leave to kill yourself. I hope you know that. By the machine god, be careful, Rogue Trader! Grimacing with pain and exertion, he struggles to extend one of his manipulators to the numerous toggle switches on the apparatus. The throne circuit is overloaded with galvanic energies, and so the current is rampaging. If you interfere, the course of the experiment will be unpredictable. Why are you torturing yourself? You could have dulled the pain with stimulants. Pain is merely the instrument by which living flesh alerts us to deleterious effects upon it. I am using this tool to receive the most complete and thus most valuable information about the consequences of my procedure. What experiment are we conducting? I am currently engaged in a study of determinacy in the existence of the amalgam individuals. The existence of amalgam individuals. Your presence will no doubt enliven the discussion my dearest colleague and I are having as I work. You have caught Nuncius and me about halfway through our disputation. Uh-huh. What exactly are you seeking this time that warrants this level of self-excavation? I am seeking the limit, Rogue Trader. The limit that Ferrum Sanctum can withstand, but living tissue cannot. I am trying to perceive the extent to which reverse augmentation can be accomplished without killing the recipient, and I myself, as the bearer of a large number of implants, am the ideal specimen. Why would you reverse someone's augmentation? The gifts of the Omnissiah come at a price, one that not everyone can pay. Their machine spirits can rage and reject the flesh with which they have been joined, causing pain or even indescribable agony. Sometimes the only way to end it is to extract the augment, which often carries the risk of death. My objective is to find a way to mitigate this. His mechadendrites does not stop rooting in his insides even for a moment. Oh, good. Is this related to your previous experiment? Naturally. This part of my path on the quest for knowledge, just as the creation of the Triosomata was. I have taken a different approach in my current experiment. The sector is suffering because of your research. Oh, as soon as I obtain the answers to my questions, I will rise from this throne, restore the motive force to the compartment. Rest assured. And now I beg another pause, Rogue Trader. I must excavate the heart implant, Nuncius. Kindly monitor the function of the atroventricular node, if you would. These medical terms, y'all. One of the flexible mechadendrites dives deep into Aegon's chest, carefully extracting the augmented heart. Does this kind of come off as like, you could see this all just being in a sitcom, like a 90s sitcom kind of vibe, like with just like how dry your character is versus how like enthusiastic he is. And I love every single second of like talking to your uncle. Like this is like legitimately talking to your uncle as he does something idiotic. The throne's machine spirits instantly erupt in a cacophony of alarms. You count no less than 30 beats of your own heart before the pulsing organ is returned to its owner's chest. The ashen shadow of death slowly leaves Aegon's face. Praise the Omnissiah, Nuncius. This is what we've been searching for. A 30-second interval is optimal, but for removing the organ without causing dysfunction. It's impossible to tell whether the servo skull shares his colleague's excitement. Risk a fatal outcome. The risks are negligible when what is at stake is crossing the limit of death itself. Both of my attempts to create a Triosomata have failed. Both? How many attempts have there? Your thoughts on this matter interest me greatly. Let them flow freely. You mentioned 2 attempts? There was another? Deftly deduced from my deliberate vagueness is my last thesis. You are correct. The one you and I created was the second. The first was the starting point that whetted my thirst for the mysteries of the machine that is the organic body. A most fascinating story. Nuncius's telling of it is most engaging. Nuncius's account remains a mystery to you, safely hidden behind the grin of your interlocutor. His energy flagging Aegon's eyes. Yes, Nuncius, perhaps the story is indeed too long for our current circumstances. Enough of the lyrical digressions. I have since made the significant progress in understanding the wisdom of the Omnissiah, and the failure of both the triosomia procedures will remain merely another setback in the path of comprehension. I'd like to hear Nuncius's position. The servo skull is silent as always. Yes, dearest colleague, you are certainly correct in asserting that death is the natural and inevitable cessation of life processes. That is not why the Omnissiah granted us the gift of reason and the ability to comprehend the existence, so that we humans would submit to the natural way of things. You accept death as a fact, but I believe such fatalism is incomprehensible to a servant of the Omnissiah. Do not machines strive for eternity? Elaborate your thesis. Because if a machine is as functional and multifaceted as the human organism ceases to exist, all practical meaning of it is destroyed. Aegon's large hand grips the edge of the implantation throne, their knuckles white. I have dared to fathom ways of prolonging life precisely to preserve that meaning. The operational limits of organics can be overcome, the annihilation of flesh and mind averted, the function raised to the absolute. Death is what sustains the Imperium. This is true. But life is what propels it forward. It's an incontrovertible fact. Aegon nods briskly. It's not worth it. You can try to prolong existence indefinitely, but after a certain point, such existence can scarcely be called life. Life is a duty, not merely a right. A person must live as long. You're right. Vanquishing death will be a triumph. I think I like this one. You can prolong existence indefinitely, but after a certain point, such existence can scarcely be called life. A person must live as long as they are able to bring benefit, or vanquishing death will be the triumph of reason and triumph of being born, not, but I like this one, yeah. He frowns pensively, tugging at the piston on his beard. You differentiate between the concept of life and survival. Where do you draw the line? And there is a difference, right? There's a difference between living and surviving. I think that answer that Tess had there was actually a really good one, because you are seeing that there is a clear-cut difference right now between life and survival. So what the Triosomata was doing is just surviving. They're just... That's it. There's nothing to them. They're not living a life. They're just there. You know what I mean? As far as what he's proposing, at some point, you will just exist. You won't be living. You won't get to do that. And it's up to the individual on whether or not that is still considered a fulfilling life kind of thing. But being able to give him this counter argument, I think, is important to whatever he does going forward. You differentiate between the concept of life and survival. Where do you draw the line? Can anything outweigh the desire to live at all costs? I admit, I have not considered the question from such a perspective. Your strength of will impresses me. Perhaps I should show some fortitude as well. Consider my hypothesis from a different angle. And that's precisely why I like this response. Just because even if he doesn't change his mind, I do think it's important to show him a different way of thinking through this. A triumphant Benharic hymn pouring out of the implantation throne's Vox transmitter interrupts the Manipulus's musings, signaling the completion of the procedure. Aogen's anti-grav generator stirs to life once more, and the generator floats smoothly into the air. It appears that the gory experiment he just performed on himself has had no catastrophic consequences. Nuncius rises after him, a silent shadow. And so the experiment is complete, and I deem the outcome wholly satisfactory. Thank you for your timely arrival. You've given me food for thought that will occupy my unquiet mind for a long time to come, and will surely grant me many revelations in the future. Now I must return to my laboratory and discuss the details with Nuncius. We did it! It's fine! We saved Sector Bionica again. This sector, man, I love this sector. But I tell you what, since we unlocked it, it's caused Tess nothing but
Victory
issues.
awaits.
She is left and right and left, babysitting this one group of... She has things to do. She has a crazy-ass Xenos to find and convince that smooching her is a good idea. And we don't have time for this, but we'll make time. God, Emperor, protect. We will absolutely make time. And do we think we'll get to Yanis this time? I don't know.